And now, back to the compelling documentary, Stafford Hospital, The Review.
One of the things that's having an impact around the world at the moment is the unknown that's coming out of this major scandal in the National Health Service in the UK.
The events, so distressing, they caught international attention of shock and horror. What happened at Stafford Hospital is not one to forget. However, there is scepticism around what actually took place. Mid Staffordshire NHS Foundation Trust is now a name synonymous with failure, abuse and neglect. The Chief Executive of Mid Staffordshire NHS Foundation Trust said, "There were systemic problems at the hospital at the time which meant that the care provided of these patients and others in some areas of the hospital was inadequate. Such a poor standard of care is inexcusable and indefensible."
In 2009, the Secretary of State for Health announced an independent inquiry because there were so many complaints that kept coming in. If you read the report, it's like reading a nightmare. It really is.
I believe the regulatory bodies in particular are going to have some difficult questions to answer. The Nursing and Midwifery Council and the General Medical Council need to explain why so far no one has been struck off. So the Secretary of State for Health has today invited them to explain what steps they'll take to strengthen their systems of accountability in the light of this report.
The thought prior to 2010 within the Department of Health is that the independent inquiry, which had already been run under Robert Francis, had run its course, and that there was no real gain within a public inquiry. It cost over 7 million, and it hasn't changed the course or the direction of travel for Stafford Hospital.
Everybody was under the impression, and many still are, that Stafford was the hospital where thousands died needlessly and that people drank water from flower vases. Neither of those things is true.
Heather Goff, a senior nurse at Stafford Hospital, said, "Our nursing staff were continually raising the point that our patients may not be receiving the care they should because of lack of staff, equipment and poor facilities."
I think the turning point in the campaign was at the march. I think there were a lot of people who felt very passionate about the hospital and the acute services, but I don't think that, really speaking, the hospital campaign got underway until we had 50,000 people march for services in Stafford. I think that showed that the community was firmly behind its hospital.
Stafford Hospital will remain in whatever form at the end of this process. But for our community, we don't want health inequalities. Our nearest hospital is 17 miles away, north for Stafford, and for Cannock it would be south down to Wolverhampton. We feel that those are very large distances. We worry about people being transferred, the safety aspect, and for those that maybe are on benefits from a money point of view, at night in a taxi it's £40. We have good services at Stafford Hospital today, good, safe services, and we feel that those are necessary for our community.
I became very ill and I was rushed in, had 3 weeks in intensive care with septicemia, and they got me through, and I thought, well, they've saved my life, now it's time I did the same for them. I was very pleased. The standard of care was excellent. The food was very good, so that's it really. Every community needs to be looked after. Everyone pays income tax or council tax, and they're entitled to good services. And to me, good services are local and immediate.
What the pledge to review services is actually doing is giving a glimmer of hope to a community that needs some certainty, and so people will think that the government has the best interests of Stafford at heart, and what it was a political ploy to make sure that they don't lose the seat at the next election.
The public misconception has led to a loss of confidence in the hospital, which has led to a problem with recruitment and with people leaving. And this is a major problem.
This is a national issue. That many hospitals throughout the country are potentially under threat. The process is very imperfect, and that needs to be exposed.